Today I have Melanie Foo with me.
Hi Rach, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for suggesting to actually have wine with Rachel because it is 10:30, I think, 10:30, 11, I can't remember.
It's a bit early, but it's okay.
It is a bit early, but yeah, Melanie said that we should be having wine with Rachel. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just have a cup of tea. And she's like,
Tea.
And usually this is the other way around. I'm the one that's like, oh no, let's have a wine. So I don't know what happened there.
Oh, it's because baby is at home with my helper, and I'm just like, well, why not then, since I'm here?
Yeah, I actually haven't even tried this yet, so I'm just going to have a
It's
sip
really
and
good.
swirl. Yeah, oh, it's good. Oh, that's great.
Exactly.
I don't hate drinking before 12 o'clock.
It's really good. Where's it from?
This is a South African Chenin Blanc, actually. It's organic, and I don't remember the name, and I feel bad. I'm usually very good at this. I totally forgot the name, but you know what? I'm really liking it, and I don't really care. But why not drink before 12? I think what my saying used to be when I was cabin crew was, it's 12 o'clock somewhere in the world. That's what I used to always say. So it kind of is, right?
It is 12 o'clock now, probably in Melbourne.
Specifically, we want to focus about you and your amazing change from being corporate to running your own business. So I'd love for you to share with everyone a little bit more about high school, university, and what led you to your corporate career to begin with.
Okay. So I actually moved to Australia really young. So my mum shipped me off to boarding school when I was 14 years old.
That's very, very young.
Really young. Because I'm originally from Malaysia, in a really small town called Ipoh. And basically the education system there wasn't like the best. And my dad used to study in the UK and Canada. So he had an international school system and he wanted us to follow through with that. So even back in Ipoh, I was in an international school. And then around 14, my mom was like, okay, it's not good enough. The international schools were just like, it's co-ed. My mom didn't want me mixing with the boys. She's like, no boys, nah, your grades are going down. It's because of the boys. It wasn't because of like anything else. It was literally like, it's because of the boys. You're not paying attention. Here you go to boarding school. So I did. So she shook me off to Perth.
Was it because of boys though? Were you interested in any boys?
Yeah, a little bit.
14, like
Exactly, a little bit, but I don't think it played too much into the grades part. It's more like, just different interests at that point in time. I found out about sports, I found out about like drama, music, all the creative stuff.
You're coming into your own.
Exactly, and then like I'm like, oh, maths, fuck maths, like I hate maths. So then when I could,
don't like maths either.
exactly. So when that happened, obviously my grades dropped because I was exposed to more things. But then she was like, oh, it's all about boys. Never mind. So she shipped me off to Perth. So I did 5 years there in high school at Presbyterian Ladies College. I loved boarding school. It was like something really life-changing for me. No one to do my laundry. No one to do my bed. Like, because back in Malaysia.
Tell me, hang on. So you have to, of course, at boarding school, you have to wash your own clothes.
Everything. Your own clothes. You have to do your own well, you don't have to iron, but basically you just have to fold it nicely so it doesn't crinkle. Everything. Like, if you ate in your room, you have to wash the dishes. No one's going to do it for you. But back in Malaysia, I had a helper, and everything was done for me. So it was a big change, and I think that was what my mum wanted as well, for me to be more independent. So that was that. But I loved it. I actually really loved it. My grades didn't improve, honestly. If anything, it got worse. But it was good enough.
Of course, because you weren't, this is not what you were meant to be.
Yeah.
This is not what you're meant to be. And actually, I'm laughing because you're going to tell us about what you went into, which is math related. So this is hilarious. Keep going.
Yes. So initially, because when I was in PLC.
What's PLC?
Presbyterian Ladies College. Yeah, high school.
Right, okay, right. Got it.
Obviously, because in Australia, the school system has a lot of like sports, creative side, drama, dance, and stuff like that. I was taking it. You could go to camps. I loved it. It was so good. But my mum, sorry, mum, if you're watching this, she wasn't a big fan of.
Mummy Foo is definitely gonna watch it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be like, oh, and she's gonna blame me for everything. But anyway, she wasn't a big fan that I wanted to go towards the more creative side. Like I was doing drama, I was doing dance, I was doing PE. I loved physical education. And at the end of like year 11, I think, or 10, they kind of put you to have a meeting with the advisor, like the
career
career advisor.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, oh, I think you're really good at this creative side and the sporty side, so why don't you go be a physical education teacher?
Oh, that's what I wanted to be when I finished school.
Yeah, so what happened?
Well, actually, didn't get the grades because PE teachers in Australia had to get like 89, 91 because you had to do human movement. So like it was like 90%, 90 TER. Basically, you had to get almost straight A's, and I was a straight B, C plus student. Like,
and she pulled me out of boarding school so that she could literally watch me study for like 6 to 8 months, if I'm not wrong, before the exam. So
how did that make you feel?
Like caged, obviously. Like she will walk in, and if I'm on my phone, like texting a guy or something, or even a girl or whatever, she'll be like, "What are you doing? Put my phone away." 2006, 17.
That's a lot for a 17-year-old who needs a little bit more leniency and trust and at arm's reach, right?
Exactly. But she was
doing what she thought was best.
Exactly.
And as mothers, we understand.
Yeah. So my like predicted TE score was like 82 or something, and she was like, oh, fail, obviously, and she was like nothing below 90, right? So I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like that's a big jump.
Yeah.
And also I had to do maths. I did 2 maths subjects, which I hate maths. I dropped all. And then my mom was like, nope, not happening. You're gonna go somewhere else, Singapore, anywhere else but Perth. And I applied everywhere, and then I said, okay, Mom, like I don't want to go anywhere but Australia, so I stayed back in Melbourne. I moved to Melbourne because at least still in Australia. And I went to Melbourne U, doing Bachelor of Commerce, double degree in Finance and Economics. Passed that.
This is the person who doesn't like maths.
Hate maths. Street smart, yeah.
So you went through that and ended up being because you had no choice, right? I'm assuming your mum was like, no, Melanie, you must do this.
Yeah, so she wanted me to go into the finance line, which I did. I ended up coming back to Singapore because my mum decided that Australia was too much for me now. So came back to Singapore, and I was a personal financial consultant at first at a bank, and I hated it. Like,
I can only imagine, personal financial consultant. So what did you do day to day?
Sell credit cards, sell insurance, open bank accounts, sell for that stuff. It was fine. Like it's great. It's just that I wasn't that keen on selling insurance and pushing insurance onto grandmothers and like aunties and stuff that didn't really need it. But because I need to hit the KPI, everyone's forced to sell it to anyone, like everyone. And I felt really guilty. I just and also
you're stuck between being like ethically, like the ethics of it, and getting a paycheck and doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Which is a huge thing that I think most people who work in sales really struggle with, is like the ethics behind what you're pushing to sell, knowing that they don't really need it. And I think this is what drives a lot of people away from specific sales, is because they have heart and they have ethics, and for them it's morally wrong to keep doing that to people.
Yes, that was exactly how I was feeling. I was like, oh, my manager would come and be like, why don't you just sell it to the auntie? She has like X amount of money. And I'm like, she's so old. And she already has enough.
Yeah.
She had enough. So I was like, why? And oh, she would have been easy sell. So in the end, I was like, no, I can't do this. So I was only there until my probation was over, and I was about to quit. So I told one of my clients, I was like, okay, Mr. X, I'm leaving, and I'm not going to be your portfolio manager or whatever anymore. And he was like, where are you going? I said, I don't know, probably back to Malaysia, because I didn't know how to find a job, right, in Singapore. And he was like, oh, no, I like you very much. Why don't you come and try out being on my team? And I was like, what does your team do? He was like, oh, we do foreign exchange broking. And I was like, I had any clue of foreign exchange broking. I was like, oh, I can't do that. I don't know anything. He was like, it's okay. Just come and join us. Just come for an interview, and if you pass, you don't have to go back to Malaysia, blah blah. So I asked my mom. I didn't know why I asked my mom, but in the end, I asked my mom.
Yeah.
And she was like, do it. Anything for the EP, right? So I was like, oh, okay. So in the end, I went for my interview, and it's really funny. I should have seen it coming, because the interview questions were not like, oh, what can you do for the company? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Like, can you solve this thingy? Can you do that? What is, a future, or what is, all the different bear market, bull market, nothing. It was just 3 simple questions. 1, do you drink? 2, do you party? Actually, it's 4 questions. Do you drink? Do you party? Do you smoke? And do you have a boyfriend? That's what the 4 questions they asked me. And I answered them truthfully. And then they were like, okay, you're hired.
So I know you don't smoke, so that would have been an easy one.
Yeah.
Did you have a boyfriend?
I did have a boyfriend. So then they gave me a little like face. They did.
Won't last for long type. Okay, right. Do you party? Do you drink? And you would have been like, I enjoy these things. They're not my own life, but I enjoy them.
Yeah.
And they saw an attractive young girl and went, okay, she'll do.
Yeah. So then they said, okay, you're hired. And I was like, that's it? And like, yeah, you're hired. Start next week or something like that. And then the manager came and he was like, I just want to let you know you have a boyfriend, but he might not be your boyfriend for long. And I was like, that's really rude, but okay, whatever. Like at that point in time, he was like my life, right? So I was like, no way, that's not gonna happen. He's gonna be my boyfriend for the rest of my life. We're gonna get married and have kids. So that was that. And so I got in, and it was a roller coaster ride, insane roller coaster ride. I was there for 7 years, not at the same company, but doing the same job. And yeah, I don't want to boast, but it was I was flying pretty fast.
Yeah.
My starting pay was around 3,000, and the end of it I was at 15, and it was just jumping. But I don't know. At the end of it, I think it just didn't fulfill me at all. I felt like it was very pretentious. It felt empty. At the start, it was great though.
Of course, because it's like free dinner, free booze.
Yes, it was like free dinner, free booze, exactly. Everything was party,
everything
party.
you want.
You were like
entertaining.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like when you go to the clubs, you get the best table, you get Moet, Chandon, like everything, and people were like, whoa. And I was living the high life. I could start buying bags and stuff because before that, I was, not
making enough just to pay your rent.
Exactly.
And enjoying and
correct
simple things.
So now I had the propensity to have the spending power to buy like something a bit more fancy or whatever, and I was like, yeah, cashing it in, loving it. But then at the end of the day, I think I just felt like I was trapped in this loop, and I realized that people in the market who called themselves friends were not really friends.
What would you say was the major reason why you decided to break away from this industry?
The paycheck was nice. And I was like, oh no, I shouldn't go. What do I do after this? I have nothing else. I have no credentials, nothing. What can I do? But at the same time, I just felt really, really empty and lonely for some weird reason. And I was just doing the same things over and over again. Going out, having dinner, going out, having drinks. And this was happening like 4 times a week. That's like 4 times on a weekday, because we don't work on weekends. That's a lot.
Of course, and I remember you saying you had to clock in every day at 7:45.
7. And we don't have a lunch break, so we sit on the desk and eat. So basically, I'm stuck there for like a good 12 hours. And after that 12 hour, I have to go entertain. And then sometimes it goes up to like 3 a.m. and I have to be at the office at 7. So I was getting really tired.
Actually, to be honest, sounds awful now as someone who's much older and has children. But at the time, I'm pretty sure I would have really liked that.
Yeah, because at that
when
point
you're young and fun, it's a great job, right?
Yeah, and then you talk, when you get to the office, everyone's talking about the party last night, and you're like, yeah, I was there, the last person out, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't get home till 4,
Yeah.
I'm so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then now it's like, seriously.
I just haven't even started just my Red Bull.
Yeah, that was what was happening. But then it got just too much, and I think what was the breaking point was I was at a party, and I was with my husband now, back then boyfriend, Johan. And what happened was I was gonna have dinner with him, and the party started at like 5, and it was already 9:30. And I told Johan that, my husband, that I was gonna come back for dinner. And so what happened was, it was a really huge party. There was like about 50 or 60 people, traders, brokers all together. And I think everyone was really drunk. So I'm not going to blame the alcohol, because you know what you're doing even with alcohol. That's my point of view. Like, you know what you're doing. So there was this one gentleman who, long story short, basically wanted me to stay, and he offered me money to stay. And I felt like F you. Full on like, this is like male misogyny at its best. Like, I am not an escort, or I am not paid to be by your side. I don't even know you. It's the first time I met him. He was like, so basically he said, how about $100 for you to stay? And I said, no. And he said, okay, $300. I said, no, I'm priceless. I played it cool. I was like, I'm priceless. I'm gonna go home.
As women have to do on a regular basis. Instead of saying, that's incredibly insulting, why don't you go fuck off? You can't. And this is a massive problem for women, is that we can't say these things. And it's incredibly unfair that men constantly put us in positions where we can't speak up and say, no. And I'm sorry you had that experience, but I also know a lot of women can completely resonate with that when you're in a position where someone is making you feel like you have to joke it off to leave, right?
Yeah, why don't you joke it off? Exactly.
You have to joke it off, because heaven forbid you tell that person straight off to fuck off, just like they are basically saying to you to stay.
I actually did though.
Okay, good, yay.
But then something happened the next day. So what happened was, the last straw was he said, I'll offer you 500. I'm sure you'll stay for that. And I was like, 500. I don't need your 500. But basically, it wasn't that. It was just like, what are you talking about? So I said, no, I'm leaving. I got my phone. I booked a cab. I was about to leave. And he said, hey, before you leave, I just want to ask you one question. So I said, what is it? He said, what does your boyfriend have that I don't have? And I stared at him. He goes, does he have a bigger dick? That's what he said to me. And I was like boiling on the inside, and I looked at him. Mind you, this guy is really high up in the corporate world, like 3 levels higher than I am. And I said, yes, he does. And I walked off. And the next day, I lost that line completely.
And how much was that worth?
A lot, because that was my biggest client. So basically, my client's boss is him. So he went down the ladder and said, everybody don't deal with Melanie. And I lost my biggest client. So I basically had nothing to do for like, and it's called line out. So basically they can't like deal with me. They would just switch all the boxes off, basically. Long story. Yeah, basically they can't deal with me for a good 2 months.
It's like being extricate, is that the right word? What's that?
Eradicated?
No, extricated from your friendship group. Eradicated, not eradicated.
I know what you
mean. You know that word.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Ends in an aided.
Yes.
Extricated in a basically, like you were shunned.
Yes.
Right? Like from a circle of friends, you've been shunned, no one speak to you, you are no longer allowed to be conversed with anymore.
Yes.
Because you did one thing, you stood up for yourself.
Yes. Which is fucked up. Like, why do we have to be subjected to this shit? And that was when I was like, fuck you all. The next day I threw in my letter.
Nice. So I guess, like, going from that, like, specifically apart from this exact moment, what motivated you to break free and then follow your new passion, which we're going to go into in a moment?
Well, that was one of the really big factors, besides the fact that the industry was really pretentious, and like I said, like I was empty and feeling like it didn't serve me. Okay, so basically I felt like I was not helping anyone at all. All I was helping was the rich get richer, myself get richer, and everybody else doesn't benefit from anything. Like, there's no benefit besides people driving sports cars and people going on nice holidays. I'm not helping anybody. So I felt like that was just so unfulfilling, and I wanted to do more. Obviously I didn't know how or what, and I was feeling really, really down, and so I joined the gym. And I started going for yoga classes. At that point in time, I really enjoyed just being on the mat. It was a really fast class. I like going for really like intense stuff, guys. So at that point in time when I'm doing something really quick, I had nothing to think about. I don't have to think about work. I have to focus on my breath and like basically being right there. And I really felt rejuvenated, like full. And so I always came back from work feeling really like upset and angry and angsty and being a bit of a bitch, honestly. And my husband was telling me like, hey, why don't you just quit? Because it's not making you happy at all. Like, I can see that you're not yourself. You're just upset all the time. So why don't you just quit and just do something that you enjoy and take your time to figure out what it is, because you've got a lot of talents. And I was like, at that point I was like, what talents? I don't have any talents. So
I know, I think it's a common problem for everyone is no one actually thinks they have any talents, but everybody has a talent. Most people have a couple, they just don't realize it.
yeah, like, because you don't see yourself like that, right?
Yeah.
You're always just looking at your flaws, which is shitty, because we should always see our strengths. But at that point I was like, I have nothing, I can't do anything but this. Like, I'm so
This is
stupid.
what I do. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I've now pigeonholed myself into this one small box, and now I can't break free.
Correct. So my husband was like, you know what? Just quit, and then we'll see how it goes. So I did. I quit, but then my company made me stay for an extra 9 months because there was a 1-year notice period. Okay, letting that slide. But so in that 9 months, I was basically the tea lady, the lunch girl, buying coffee for everyone.
Well, you still paid normally.
Yeah, that monetary factor wasn't a driving factor for me anymore. I was
Yeah.
just like, dude, I could be like, okay, if it's not traveling, I could be doing charity, I can be going somewhere to like help build schools or anything.
Yeah.
Visit my family back in Malaysia, or I don't know, taking an art class. But I was just stuck there sitting on a desk doing nothing, like literally nothing besides buying breakfast, lunch, tea. That's it. So I sat there like a little.
And you still had to be in every day at 7:45.
Yeah, couldn't leave. You had to sit there until everybody goes. And so I was like, at the end of the day, you're just sitting there like an idiot. I was becoming a shopaholic, like a massive one. I had to buy something, and something had to arrive for me every day for me to look forward to something.
Oh, that's terrible. And what turned your mind to going, I want to change, I'm going to change? What was that defining factor when you went, that's it, no more, I'm going to change this, I'm not going to? Because I know you had a notice period, but what was that switch that made you go, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm now going to mentally focus on what your next step was going to be?
I don't really have a defining factor. I think it would be when my husband told me, just take that leap of faith and don't worry, because I had no idea what I wanted to do, to be honest. Like, I had no idea. So he said, just do what you want to do, don't think about it, be happy, that's the most important thing. And I said, okay, yeah, you know what, it's true, I need to be happy, I can't be stuck in this shithole. So I was like, fuck it, and I took my yoga teacher training course.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at that point in time whether I wanted to be a business owner or have a yoga studio. I just wanted to like do it for whatever, for like knowledge and being more in depth into the yoga scene. And at the end of the day, doors just opened for me. And I think it's because I just put myself out there and allowed it to, because I was scared a lot of the times. Like, I graduated from that teacher training in May, and then I was a teacher in August, and then I had my own studio by December.
It's very
fast.
It's very, very quick.
Yes, and usually
Because you finished work, I think February, March?
March
2019.
Yes, March.
Yeah, finished work 2019. I remember that. And then you started your yoga training course in
April.
You then finished your teacher training in
May.
You started teaching professionally for money. August. And then you started your own studio in December.
Yeah.
Was it really that fast?
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Props to you. So literally within like 9 months, you had opened a studio. That's pretty impressive.
And I was like, if not, so basically it was like, if not now, then when?
Absolutely.
That thought was like, if I don't do it now, then am I going to wait till I'm 50 to open the studio? So just do it now.
You just the momentum just picked up. You just did the training, you started teaching, and from there you just made contacts and friends and just went, well, I have an opportunity, I'm going to open a studio at the same time. Absolutely. Exactly. So you took a massive leap of faith. That's quite a lot. Well done for you within 9 months. It's very impressive.
It takes a baby. It takes a baby.
It takes a baby, yeah. It takes a baby. Not knowing that our friend COVID was coming around the corner.
Nah.
But that's for another day. what we might do is, I think we might wrap up with a couple of little like points, as in like some top 3 things, because I think I'd love to just dig in a little bit deeper about how you opened a studio, what it took in a whole nother session. I think that would be really valuable to people to understand actually what it takes, because 9 months is a very long period of time, but realistically 9 months to start learning how to be a teacher, becoming a teacher and opening a studio is actually a very, 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 very short period of time. I can't even touch my toes. So like, imagine someone like me being able to take me 9 months to be able to do that. So I'd love to dig into that on another time. But if you could give people your top 3, I actually wrote down something actually specific. If you could give other ladies your top 3 tips for women who would like to do the same thing as you, what would they be?
Alright, so the very first one, okay, it's not in order, but I did this in order.
Yep.
So you can go whichever way you want, but the first one that I took for myself was to be rational, and that timing is important. Obviously, timing was not important at this point because COVID came. However, being rational is very important because it's not easy. Because if you want to pursue something that you really enjoy, something like your passion and stuff, you need to remember that that passion project or that dream job may not pay. Right? Like,
very, very, very true.
Yes, it
I'm
may
sure
not
that
pay.
resonates a lot of people. Be rational and be prepared that it may not pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for it to pay, you need to do things that you might not enjoy. For example, I hate accounting. I hate numbers. I have to do it, right? There's no choice. There's nothing.
You're back in maths again.
Exactly.
Business owners, you still have to do maths.
Like trying to equalize my books and like blah blah blah, profit, loss, revenue. I'm like, what is this? But I have to do it. The next one is like operational stuff, cleaning the bathrooms, all this stuff. If you have no propensity to pay someone to do it for you, you have to do it yourself. And that's what I do. I scrub the floors, I scrub the bathroom, I make sure everything's clean, painting the walls. You might not.
So be prepared. So your second tip would be prepared to do everything yourself. So number 1, be rational. Number 2, be prepared to do it all and be jack of all trades.
Yes.
And number 3,
be patient.
be patient.
Yes.
So be rational. Oh my god,
Be
be prepared and be patient.
Correct. Being patient is very important because it might not pick up straight away, and you don't want to rush into it thinking that you can earn back whatever you were earning back when you were.
No, it will never happen.
It might happen eventually, slowly, but don't like feel too caught up in that.
Yes.
Enjoy the process.
Which comes back to being rational.
Yes.
Be rational about what you can actually achieve, which I think is incredibly important because nothing happens overnight. And my number 1 hated saying is, oh, they're an overnight success. That's bullshit.
Nah.
I absolutely call bullshit on anyone who says they're an overnight success, because overnight successes do not happen. It is years and years or months of hard work that goes in behind being an overnight success. So I absolutely hate that word, because when you hear overnight success, you instantly assume that someone literally went to bed and woke up successful.
Yeah.
And we know that's absolutely never the case. There's so much work behind it. So I really hate it. And I would love to find a better term for that, because overnight success, like, it's just not real.
No,
it's not true. It's not true. And I don't like the
and
saying.
it actually makes that person feel a bit put down.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I actually put a lot of work into this. What do you mean by overnight success? I put a lot of work. Have you seen what I've done before this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got to find another way of like saying an overnight success, because that is not the case. It's just a nice way of saying a very fast success, but nothing comes without hard work, perseverance, and a lot of challenges along the way.
Unless you win the lottery.
And great stories. Unless you win the lottery, okay, fine. There's the only overnight success that we can think of, because that literally is.
Exactly.
You didn't even do anything for that, so that is an overnight success. And I wouldn't even call that being successful, I would call that luck.
Yes.
That's overnight being lucky. But anyway, Melanie, it was an absolute pleasure to have you today. We are going to dig into some more stuff about yoga and how you can create your own yoga studio and how you start your business from scratch. I think we can play on some things like how to set it up in Singapore, legalities around Singapore, setting up studios, like what are the small things that come within having to build your own studio, like where do you even start?
Yeah.
Right? Like what do you even do? I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm sure there's lots of people would love to know how to start your own studio from scratch. So I guess we'll have to have one another time. What a shame. But cheers. Thank you so much for coming on for our #1 show. And I look forward to having a hand again at some point soon and being able to not be so odd. But cheers. There's none left.
Yes, what's
She's
happening?
the one who wanted to drink. And here's like...
I've been talking, that's why.
She's the one who wanted to drink. And I'm the one that has nothing left. And she has like a glass still. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone. Have
Thanks,
a great
guys.
Wednesday, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.